Hello and welcome back to the Final Whistle podcast. My name is Harry McBain and I'm joined by Bobby Addison as always. Today we're just going through a little review of England's performance in the group stage. We didn't do a live yesterday, but we'll cover everything now. So Bob, we'll just start with the simple one. What were your thoughts on last night's win to put us top of the group?
Yeah, it wasn't bad. I think obviously the first half was definitely better than the second half. I think I think the positive substitutions with like bringing in a few different players in like Saka and Grealish, who we were sort of aching for us to have a bit of attacking impetus. And I think we played really well in the first half. Bit of a shame that we just sort of just stopped playing in the second half. Really, I don't know why, but I don't know. We're just going for the win, I guess.
Yeah, it was. I was kind of half watching it because I was watching the Scotland one at the same time, but it looked interesting-ish for the first half. The second half, I didn't really see much happening at all.
No,
I think
you didn't really miss anything.
Maybe after we scored and we knew that we were protecting, like we got the lead at the top of the group. Maybe we were just protecting it and trying not to lose or draw. But
yeah, that's probably the reason. I mean, I think they just wanted to maybe go into the group stage not conceding a goal because it's obviously quite a good thing to do. Obviously, we've only scored 2 goals, but then again, we have conceded none, so it's not the worst thing.
Yeah, and I think like if you ask someone before the tournament started, oh, you'll finish top of the group and you won't have conceded any, like people would have taken that.
Yeah.
And especially with the lineup that, as you said, we saw a few names come in. Obviously, Saka was probably like the one that people were surprised about the most. It was pretty obvious that Grealish was going to start because Mount was gone.
Yeah.
Do you think after that performance that Saka's kind of shown why he should be in the team for like the round of 16 game?
Yeah, I mean, I've been saying this all along. I mean, I've seen him play all season. I know how good he is, but it's like I think Micah Richards was saying, like, realistically, how can you drop him after like those two have come in and obviously got a decent bond, but you could just see how like well he was driving us forward through like the first half, and I think it would be difficult for Southgate to drop him. I think it kind of depends who we play because I think all three of the big teams that we have the possibility of playing, I think you have to play all 3 games in a different way. I think France, you just have to really not let them counter attack. Obviously, Mbappe is just going to hurt you. I think Germany, you don't want them to like slowly break you down because I think they've got really good fullbacks. Obviously, in Kimmich and Gosens have been playing really well, and obviously Portugal, they haven't been great. They've been alright, but they definitely got. If I could play any of them, I think I'd probably pick Portugal. But I think, you just got to play it in a certain way, and I think having that speed in the first half and then maybe taking him off, sitting back and being a bit more defensive might be the strategy to go in that game.
Yeah, I think I agree. I definitely take Portugal. Like they haven't been at their best. I think they're also relying a lot on Ronaldo at the moment. So I think just shove someone to man mark him the whole game. I mean, it might not do what we want, but it'll at least reduce the threat a lot. But I think that depends. I think their group is playing today, actually.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So we'll find out later who we're playing.
Mm-hmm.
The interesting one that wasn't in the team that everyone wanted to be, he came on for a few minutes at the end, was Jadon Sancho. It's just a bit crazy that he's not involving Sancho like more than he is because
I know
he's played brilliant over the last few seasons. I think Southgate said the other day it's because he's inexperienced at a top level, and it's like, no, he's not. He's played Champions League for the last few seasons. What are you on, Southgate?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I guess Southgate knows international football, and maybe he's making some sort of judgment about it. Obviously, we don't see what goes on in training and stuff like that. But I think it is weird. I mean, obviously, before the game, we were going, "Oh, why is he playing Sterling? Come on, you got to get Sancho on." But then Sterling goes and scores, and it's like, we're all going to question him before and after the game. But I guess realistically, he did get the job done. I think the only problem that he's done now is, do you really take a bet, like a judgment, and then throw Sancho in this big game? Because that could either go well or it could go really badly. So it's really difficult to bring him in at this stage, I think.
Yeah, I mean, at least with the World Cup in 2018, we had an easy route to the semi-finals, and he could put teams out, like players out there that maybe wouldn't have gotten a chance if we're playing with someone like Portugal or France or Germany. I think it's interesting. Everyone has been like saying before matches, "Oh, don't pick Sterling. He's been useless." But he's our top scorer of the tournament. I mean, it's only 2 goals, still top scorer. Harry Kane just hasn't looked like scoring at all. I mean, he had one good chance yesterday, which was saved. It's just been a bit of a letdown from Kane because obviously he was the top scorer at the World Cup. Do you think maybe it's the fact that obviously the transfer rumours and everything, that he's not really as settled as he could be because he's thinking about, maybe a move to Man City?
I think Harry Kane's quite professional. I don't think that would really impact him because I don't think there's as a player, I don't think he's like that flashy. Obviously, I think he probably would just want to come and get the job done. I don't know. Maybe it's just the system. Like, it just doesn't seem to be settling with him. Like, he's not really getting that many. Like, yesterday we had the most chances for him. Obviously, he's only like 1 or 2, but I think we're relying much more on, like, I don't know. At Tottenham, he's the central focus of the whole team. Obviously, with Son as a bit of a backup there to assist him. But I think in this England team, because there's so many like good players, I think he's not the central focus. It's kind of different for him. So I don't know. Hopefully, I think realistically in the big games, I think he will perform. If you put a ball in and he's going to finish it, I mean, you'd rather have Harry Kane on. I mean, yeah, I'm not saying I don't rate Calvert-Lewin, but I don't see what else he brings to the team in terms of play that Kane doesn't, to be honest.
And I think also maybe the difference that maybe he's not getting as many goals is, if you look at our wingers, I mean, they're not necessarily the lot to whipping crosses to him. Sterling's more of a cut down the line and try and dribble it in and maybe win a penalty. And that's also, I was watching, when I was watching the World Cup goals, we got a lot of penalties at the World Cup.
Yeah, we did get
and we haven't had it that many in the Euros now. So maybe that's the reason why he hasn't scored as many as he did in the World Cup, is just because we haven't been getting penalties.
Yeah. And a lot, Harry Kane scored quite a few headers that World Cup as well, like just near post, back post headers.
Yeah, but I think maybe because the opposition that we're facing, maybe they're at a higher level than the World Cup group. Maybe they're a bit smarter with their marking and not letting Harry Kane just stand at the back post.
Yeah, probably.
And get just be unmarked and just to head it in. Interesting to see how he does though in the round of 60 in the rest tournament. I don't think I've taken him out of my fantasy team just yet.
No,
but I've just changed pretty much everyone else.
It's I put 3 Italy players in for the game against was it Wales? I think not a single one of them played. I think they dropped all their good players. Like, I just didn't get any points.
I put quite a few of them in for the round of 16 because
I don't know who they've got.
I don't know who they've got.
They're probably going to win.
The Scotland performance that was during the week, it was on Friday, I think, wasn't that good. A 0-0 draw. Scotland fans thought that their team were amazing, and that I don't understand. There was this hype that was around Billy Gilmour being the man of the match.
I don't really see what he did. Like, I don't think he was that good.
No, I don't understand what they thought was so good, because I don't remember him doing much apart from when Mason Mount turned him. Only time I remember him doing, I think. But what do you think went wrong for us against Scotland? Because I think maybe I think as part of it is that maybe we went into it thinking, all right, it's Scotland, they're like the 3rd worst team in the tournament, we'll smash them easily.
I don't know. I think there was loads of hype around the game. Obviously, there's a lot of extra. The commentators were saying there's a lot of extra baggage, like it being Scotland game and stuff like that. But I don't know. I just thought, like, maybe we did have a bit of arrogance and thought maybe we were going to score a few goals. It really, to me, it didn't look like we were trying to score. Like, it just looked like we were there to sort of, don't know, just turn up, pass it around a bit, and then I know we had one chance where Stones hit was it the post? I think.
Yeah.
But apart from that, it just didn't really look like we wanted to make anything. I don't really know what I don't know what was the attempt of playing the game. What was the point of it? What were we trying to do?
Yeah, it was quite confusing. Obviously, there was probably more excuse-wise of people going, "Oh, Southgate, maybe he's playing it deliberately to come second." But we probably weren't, to be honest. I think.
No, I don't think he's that type of manager, to be honest. I think he's just get out there and go and play, to be honest.
Yeah, it was quite strange because even when they brought on the subs, because the players that came off, debates about whether he should have taken Foden off, but bringing on the players, and because the players that had come off basically weren't putting in as much as we needed. They weren't pressing as much. But even when the subs came on, it's like Marcus Rashford was just strolling around up top, like not
Yeah.
pressing it. And it's like, what are you doing? Like, you don't seem bothered at all, like any of the squad, to be honest. I think maybe one person that has played very well for us this tournament that maybe we haven't thought about before, Jordan Pickford.
Yeah.
I think he's been vital for us. Maybe before the tournament started and everyone was questioning whether we should take him because he hasn't been great for Everton, or whether we should start someone else in front of him. But obviously Dean Henderson's injured, so he was definitely going to be number one.
Yeah.
What do you think it is about Jordan Pickford? Because he seems to be just an international keeper, because otherwise he's rubbish.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's just something, I don't know if you see this, but I think he has a really good like awareness. And obviously his balls and his delivery for players is ridiculous. Like some of his passing out, because he can use both his feet really well, which is like really good. But I think he's just really quite, I don't know, quite confident. Like, you know, when the ball's coming to him, he always knows when to pick it up, when to release it. Obviously, you have sometimes yesterday Walker was like using his chest to pass it back to him, and he always knew what was going on. And I think like he's made some really good saves as well. And I don't know, I just think his confidence has been helpful, especially. I mean, that's always helpful in goalkeeper, but I just think he's just I don't know, he's just really assured. And I have to agree with you. I think he's been one of our best players, because I just think he's like, I think you can have ability, but I think when it comes to international tournament, it's much more about mentality than ability. Because I think being like a team, and if you turn up arrogant, you're gonna get beaten, because you have to mentally feel like you're gonna win. Otherwise, you know, you're just gonna get turned over.
Yeah, one of the things I was thinking yesterday, because when I was watching the Scotland-Croatia game, Croatia were really good. And I think we're very lucky on the opening day that they didn't play like they did last night, because they were very good. Modric was amazing. So, but I think maybe that first game we were a little bit lucky that maybe they hadn't showed up. Maybe they had a bit like Scotland, just not ready for the tournament. But I think we've got to be careful, because obviously after the first game, everyone was like, "Great, it's coming home now. We've secured the Euros. We beat Croatia 1-0."
Yeah.
And then everyone's Scotland game was like, "Oh, great, Southgate out. He's the worst person on earth." The win last night, interesting. I don't think it
I think
was good
I think
enough.
the win last night was just a bit like just calming everything down a little bit. Because if we went and did like, oh, amazing game, we'd be like, oh yeah, we're going to win. And obviously it would have been nice to go into the game winning like 3 or 4-0 or whatever. But I just think it was just to calm the shit, get the result. Because I think it would have been bad for the confidence if we got a draw. Because I think it would just been like we didn't manage to get the win, which is annoying. But yeah, I think it was. I don't really think we could have asked for anything more other than maybe a bit more in the second half, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely. And when we look at progressing into the tournament and who else is basically challenging us to compete for the title of the Euros, which I think maybe we are being a bit optimistic, but we've got to stay optimistic. Looking at all the other teams that are up there, they're winning like with multiple goals, and we're scraping 1-0s. Do you think that they're either just the group is different, that we've got a more challenging group, or do you think that these teams are just, a bit above us? Because we have beaten, like we've beaten Spain, we've beaten the Netherlands and other teams before, but not too long ago. But it doesn't seem like that great so far for England.
I don't know. I mean, I think Spain have been not very good this World Cup. I think
They might not even qualify.
definitely, yeah, they might not qualify. I think there's a few obviously like lower down teams. Obviously, maybe don't have the most talent, but I think are going to do really well. I think probably Denmark will hopefully do quite well. So everyone would like that to happen. I think Sweden could do quite well. Obviously, they've got a really good young striker, and I think it's Alexander Isak or something like that.
Yeah.
But I think you've seen the teams like France. If France have a bad day, they've got so many like quality players that they just need one of them to make one moment, and they've got a goal. I think Germany, obviously, just a really well drilled team. Obviously, Portugal got Ronaldo, so there's always that chance that something's going to happen. But yeah, I think the commentators were saying with England, we're not going to go and outplay France and Portugal and Germany. We need like that one moment from Harry Kane or from Trippier, a free kick, a set piece to get that goal, and then we just have to not pray, but like sit back, defend, because I realistically we're not going to outplay those teams, because England always has good players, but we never play well. It's just how it goes. So I think we just have to try and stop playing. As much as it would be painful to say, we have to try and stop playing. Not try and beat them at their own game. We've got to beat them at our game. Like we just got to outplay them in a different way.
Yeah, I think one of the things that had cropped up the other day, obviously we've got Foden, who's like really good talent, hasn't necessarily been like amazing as much as maybe we'd have expected at the Euros. He hit the post in the first game. He obviously at the start of the game, I think he shows a bit of flair and then maybe dies off a little bit.
Yeah.
One of the things that had been brought up the other day was Wayne Rooney saying, or basically someone saying, Foden's got his Gaza haircut. Maybe thinks of himself as like on his level, whereas Rooney was just Rooney and he performed really well.
Yeah.
Do you think it's really a fair comparison between Rooney and Foden just because they're young players and they're English?
Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be comparisons of like previous players, obviously calling them like Mason Mount and you Lampard and all that. Like, I think they've just got to try and get it out of their head and just go out and play football. Just stop thinking about all this show business and stuff, and just be a team and win the game and just do it that way. I think you just got to go and just show what you're made of, really.
I'm just actually thinking, when I said about us winning 1-0, that's what we did at the World Cup. Really, is in the knockouts, we didn't really score that many goals.
Yeah, exactly. I think we beat Colombia on
penalties.
It was 1-1, beaten on penalties. Sweden was I think it was 2-0. And then obviously Croatia was 2-1. So they weren't like
high scoring
astounding games. The only high scoring game we had was the one against Panama, wasn't it? It was like 5-1 or something.
Well, that wasn't really a proper game.
They're probably the worst team in the whole tournament.
Yeah, they were. I was thinking of a final question of probably the big one of Gareth Southgate. There's been a mix of trust. I know when we spoke about the tournament a while ago, I think maybe it was when we had Freddie Quinn on, and we were saying about the trust in Southgate. And obviously there's a mix of people going, he's fine, we're winning, that's all we need, we're winning games. But then there's tactical decisions like not playing Sancho and his favourites. There's obviously a big thing of focus on Southgate's favourites. Do you think, obviously it's depending on how far we go, but looking, if it was just the group stage of the whole tournament, would you keep Southgate on as manager? Obviously there's not, I couldn't think of anyone to replace him because I wouldn't want to give Lampard the England job.
Yeah.
Would you keep Southgate on?
It's really hard to say, isn't it? Because like, if you look at it on paper, he's like the second best performing manager we've ever had. So obviously getting us to the semi-finals. But then again, he hasn't convincingly beaten any like the bigger teams in the tournaments. I think in qualifying we did it right, but obviously we always do well in qualifying anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But like, I don't know, it kind of depends, because if we go out at the round of 16, we went out the round of 16, that's terrible. But who we went out to is like, it's difficult to justify because it's it's probably going to be a difficult team unless we somehow manage to get Hungary, but I don't know how that's going to happen.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's really hard to say because obviously there's some people saying Gerrard could get it. Obviously he's done really well at Rangers. Some people want Arsene Wenger. I don't know how well that would go. I don't really know what he would do. But yeah, it's hard to say who else we bring in, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it's a really strange one of maybe that we don't necessarily want Southgate, but there's no one else good enough to take over.
Yeah.
If you look at it, England managerial history, we've never had a top manager. Obviously, before Southgate was Sam Allardyce. For him, Roy Hodgson. They're never big names. Obviously, think of the obvious at the time when, if Southgate was to go, who would you like? The names being linked would be like Sean Dyche, Eddie Howe.
Yeah.
And you don't really want them in charge. I think maybe while looking at the current managerial market, I'd keep Southgate in because like the squad seem to really like him. We are winning but we are winning, and that's all that really matters. But I think I'd keep him on just because all this outrage that comes out after like the Scotland game is just England fans, and we do it at everything just say he's gone, but if we were to beat France or Germany or Portugal, he'd be the messiah or whatever of English football.
Yeah, exactly. That's why it's just everyone's just got to calm down a bit and wait till something bad actually happens and then start slaying him.
Yeah, because to think the difference in football compared to when we had Roy Hodgson, when we weren't even getting out of a group stage.
Yeah, exactly.
Obviously, the players are a bit better now than the Brazil World Cup, but
Mm-hmm.
I think we should keep with Southgate. Just he's a stable manager and he's getting where we need to be, and players are good. Just hope that he does a bit better than the group stage so far.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I mean, if we went through every game and won 1-0 and won the Euros, I'm not complaining.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
don't think anyone's complaining if we beat France 1-0 next week. But yeah, we'll see. Because realistically, if we win that game, surely we'll feel like on top of the world. Like nobody else could beat us, surely.
Well, we're playing the second place in that group, aren't we? So that France could finish top, and then maybe we face, let's say, Germany. We knock out Germany. France are still in the tournament, and most likely will get to the final.
Yeah, probably. Unless there's some shock result that knocks them out.
Yeah, North Macedonia knock out France. They're not qualified, but
yeah, I don't think they made out of the group.
Well, that's all we've got time for today. Thank you everybody for listening. We'll try and be back with some live streams after the knockout games. But yeah, make sure you like the video, subscribe, and keep around.
I hope it's knockout games and not knockout game.
Yeah,
single one.
Yeah. Otherwise, yeah. Thank you everybody for listening. That was the final whistle.